General Laws Subcommittee 1 is going to be coming to order, and George, I think we got a couple of housekeeping. Well, one here. Delegate Carr on House Bill 1765. We're going to go by for the day on that one to give her an opportunity to get some stuff straight. So we'll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, you are welcome, Delegate Carr. And so with that, we've got to see a couple other ones. The first thing I want to do is, again, just to get some stuff out of the way, is it's House Bill 1384, my bill. Mr. Chairman, DPOR is taking care of what I was trying to do. And so I'm going to make a motion to lay my own bill on the table.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion for you.
Thank you.
Lay it on the table.
All right.
1384.
All right, so the motion is made to lay 1384 on the table, and I believe we have to vote on that. Or is that a voice vote? Is that?
No, that's recorded there.
All right. All right, we can close roll, and the bill's laid on the table 4-1.
Wait, I'm trying to change the vote for the chairman.
Okay, well, all right, Wendell. Well, you know, you're doing great so far. So just keep going.
Let me open it again.
Yeah.
All right. I need technical assistance. Anyway, I voted in the affirmative.
All right, so
Put it back up.
I think we're going to try to get it back over again. All right, here we go. Everybody vote.
So the vote is yes here.
All right, and close roll. They laid on the table by vote of 5-0. And next up now, we've got an animal. We got an animal rights issue that I want to take up first. It's an emergency with animal rights. I'm going to Delegate Valkenburg, get on up here. He's got.
I appreciate you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Not an animal bill, for the record, everybody.
Yeah, you want to.
For the record, my dog needs to go out. We have House Bill 1731, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, which is about an office for pharmaceutical services and is about bulk purchasing of pharmaceutical drugs. So bear with me, and I'll get through this explanation, which is right. We all know that prescription drug prices are skyrocketing and placing a severe economic impact on pretty much everybody, right? We all have friends, family that are facing the cost of pharmaceutical drugs. Virginians themselves in 2021 paid $3.4 billion in prescription drug costs, and the rates of drugs are going up faster than the inflation rate, much faster. So inflation rate of 8.6%, but drug prices are going up 31.6% on average. And that is also impacting our taxpayers through state plans. We saw that state employee health plans have increased 20%, with more than $2.4 billion in taxpayer dollars were spent on medicine. And so what we've seen across the country are states that have tried to fix this problem by essentially bulk purchasing. And so to reduce the amount that we're spending as a state, and this is talking about the state government health plans, this bill creates the Office of Pharmaceutical Services within DJS that will develop the kind of needed expertise to manipulate the prescription drug market to bring costs down. And so they'll help state agencies and departments manage and interact with drug procurement or health plan pharmacy benefits more efficiently and effectively, while also maximizing cost savings for agencies through things like group purchasing benefits. The bill would also direct state agencies to identify savings by first identifying the most expensive drugs they purchase and the drugs generating the highest net spending by agencies. The bill stipulates that DMAS would transition its pharmacy benefit for Medicaid and other services to fee-for-service benefits to improve efficiency and boost cost savings, kind of learning from other states who have done this, like Minnesota. This creates a unified Medicaid market to negotiate better rates. It's important that it be a standalone office within DJS because prescription drug procurement is complicated. It's highly technical, and so having experts matters here. They're the proper agency to house this because they manage procurement for the state, but also that there's a lot of moving parts. So to kind of close up, the bill aims to maximize Virginia's ability to negotiate the lowest drug prices possible to save our taxpayers and our state monies. The Virginians for Affordable Medicine Coalition projects that we would save $193 million a year. That is $193 million a year in savings from our plans for drug purchasing. And this is important. I think we owe it to families. We owe it to the people who have these health plans. We owe it to our taxpayers. And so that's the bill. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Delegate. Does any members have a question for the patron? Okay. Well, I guess we'll take some testimony from the audience. And please be brief. We got a lot of stuff in a short time to get there. So would you probably like to speak in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Patrice Lewis here with Gentry Locke representing the Impact Project, and we support the bill and thank the delegate for bringing it forward.
All right, thank you. And is any other testimony in favor? Is any opposition to the bill? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion, and we also, if the motion is report, we're going to need to report and refer this bill. But anyway, what's the pleasure of the committee? Wait a minute.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. White, do you want to time out? Mr. White, thank you.
My apologies, Mr. Chair, for being tardy. I'm Chris White with the Vector Corporation. I'm here on behalf of the Pharmaceutical Research Manufacturers of America. We do have some concerns with this bill, and we are opposed to it. There's a couple of reasons why. First and foremost, if the administration wanted to do something like this from a procurement standpoint, they probably could do that already without creating a special office at the Department of General Services.
Slow down, Mr. White.
Secondly, I would say, stairs are good. Secondly, I would say, I don't know if the Department of General Services is equipped to be able to handle something like this. And then third, I would point you to lines 36 through 39 in the piece of legislation which talks about combining Medicaid. There are some specific rules and regulations around Medicaid that I think would be impacted from a CMS reporting standpoint. So for these reasons, Mr. Chairman, we would ask that you not report the bill. Thank you.
All right, we thank you. And all right, let's see. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we lay the bill on the table.
We have a motion. All right, we're going to lay on the table, and there's a second. All right. All right, the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine. You can close the voting machine. The laid on the table by a vote of 5-1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Take care of your dog.
Next, percent of bill.
All right,
Chris Roy was here, so he's got it.
Yep, gotcha. What's that? All right. Yep. Delegate Batten.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have before you House Bill 1912. Pretty straightforward bill. It simply clarifies that Virginia's Tier 1 and Tier 2 universities require Treasury Board approval before entering into certain university-related foundation financing arrangements. This oversight will help avoid financial risks to the universities, and the code change will clear up ambiguity that's resulting from a 2003 Attorney General opinion. I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. Does any members have a question for the patron? All right. This is another bill that needs to go up to appropriation. So, does anybody in the audience like to speak either for or against the bill? Here we go.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Dave Richardson. I'm the State Treasurer. I just want to speak out in support of this bill. We have some Tier 1 and Tier 2 universities that have been entering into some transactions that probably could use additional oversight. This clearly does not apply to Tier 3 organizations. The bill was, as currently drafted, is upside down. So there's an amendment that I think the clerk has that would fix that. So,
Yes, I apologize. There is an amendment.
I'll move the amendment.
All right. The amendment. All right, it was moved and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Can you report the amendment, please?
There was simply a drafting error in the bill, so that's why there's an amendment, sort of written in reverse.
You can't make this stuff up.
No.
Oh, that's all right. We're, hold on here just a second here.
It's showing Boulevard on
Yeah, I can't find it. Okay, here's a substitute. It's just strike qualifying, strike. Yep, yes, if you could report it, I think that would be helpful. We're having some issues here.
Yes, Mr. Chair. On line 24, introduced after authorities, insert or a covered institution as defined in section 23.1-1000. The second line amendment is in line 26, after which, strike a qualifying and insert an. And the third amendment is line 28, after bonds, strike the remainder of line 28, all of lines 29 through 32, and through education on line 33.
All right, thank you. All right. And that is, Bill, Delegate, Pat, you have anything to add?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate Wright,
at the appropriate time, I have a motion.
it's appropriate time.
Okay, I move the report.
Report and refer.
Yeah, refer to appropriations.
Okay. Members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine.
Comments. Yeah. Oh, it's on.
Bill reports
Thank you,
refer
Mr.
5-0.
Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, now, here we're going to take up, again, House Bill 1521, which is, again, is my bill. It's about, House Bill 1521, and we're going to, it's a little bit different. We had some people that came a long way to testify to this bill, so we're going to let them testify, and then the bill's going to go by for the day for, till next week. Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
So, Mr. Binka.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate your indulgence with this, especially when we had so many people coming in from out of town. We'll keep it very simple and short. Essentially, what we're doing is we're adding the product Kratom to the Consumer Protection Act. We're not asking the state to endorse the product whatsoever. We're just asking folks to protect folks. What are we going to ask them to protect folks from? This product right here. This is the best show and tell you're probably going to see all year on why we need a bill for something. I'll pass this back if you could.
See this.
All right, Betsy, now, take it easy on that.
It won't explode, I promise. This product is sold right now in CBD stores. It's sold in gas stations. It's sold everywhere, all across the Commonwealth. Kratom is a very popular product. But if you look at that product, all it says is K-Shot. It doesn't say what's in it. It doesn't say that there's even Kratom in it. It has no directions. It has no manufacturer. A 12-year-old boy or girl can walk into an Exxon station today and purchase a whole box of those. Now, if they purchase the whole box and drink the whole box, they're going to throw up. They're not going to have to go to the hospital, but they're not going to feel well. So that's the exact same reason why we're doing this. Exactly what we're doing, we're saying that you have to use Kratom. It has to be in its natural form, which has been used for 2 millennia in Southeast Asia. You cannot sell it to anyone under 18 years of age, and you have to have proper labeling directions and serving sizes. And again, we are not endorsing the product. It's already sold everywhere. We're just going to say that you have to have some guardrails around it. And I've got some high-level folks behind me that are going to talk about Kratom.
All right.
We're going to keep it very quick,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Matt Caddo, Senior Fellow on Public Policy with the American Kratom Association, a Virginia nonprofit corporation but representing 15 million consumers across the country of Kratom products, safe Kratom products. We advocate for these regulations. 7 states have passed it. We think Virginia needs to be on the docket here to protect consumers with good labeling, good ingredients, making certain that the consumers are protected. And it is used safely in that form when it's not adulterated. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's mine.
Good afternoon. I'm John Shenholster, president and co-founder of McShin, but more important, old timer in recovery from substance use disorder. I've been clean and sober over 40 years. And we did a recent survey taking opiate addicts that had no access to doctors or medication, and we gave 30 of them kratom to help them reduce the pain associated from withdrawing from fentanyl and heroin. And 29 out of the 30 successfully detoxed over a 5-day period using this product. It's one of the most valuable tools we have for recovery right now out there in the community, and it needs to be protected, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shinholder. It's great to see my old friend from Hanover.
Oh, yeah, I come a long way.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is David Reynolds-Darian. I'm the CEO of Botanaway, Inc. We employ about 50 people here in the Richmond area. Kratom is one of many ingredients we use in our manufacturing. I have a personal experience with it. I was heavily prescribed opioids my whole life since a young child. I used it to get as one tool to get myself free from my pain medications. I'm now 13 years clean, and I support this bill. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Botanaway.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jack Henningfield. My opinions are my own. I'm a neuropharmacologist. I develop medicines and regulation, and I'm at Johns Hopkins University in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences since 1978, where I'm an adjunct professor. After that, I was at National Institute on Drug Abuse, where I worked on developing medicines for addictions across the board, and I'm proud of that. But one of the things that we learned is that there's no one-size-fit-all, no one medicine that works for everybody. NIDA, I'm proud to say, my former institute, and Johns Hopkins are doing research on kratom and other treatments. Most people don't use kratom to get off of opioids. They use it like you're drinking coffee. It's in the coffee family. But what we've learned through the research, more than 100 new studies in the past year alone, 5 years alone, many supported by NIDA, and I've co-authored quite a few of them, is really simple. Nature got it right. And kratom in its natural form, whether it's leaves that people use to make tea or encapsulate or make extracts, like coffee is an extract, and then sell it as extracts, is remarkably safe. And people use it on a daily basis, many people, and some people once in a while for different reasons. So the problem is adulteration and contamination and mislabeling or lack of labeling. People should be able to get the same reassurance that they get for the dog food they buy, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can you wrap up real quick here?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just want to be clear again. We're not seeking an endorsement. We want to protect people from that product that I just showed you because it's everywhere. So it's that simple. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the testimony. Tommy, Delegate Wright, would you like to make that motion on my bill for
Mr.
right
Chairman,
now?
I'll move the bill go by for the day.
All right. I think it's voice vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All right. All right. The bill's by for the day. Delegate Avoli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This bill, 1818, is on behalf of Augusta County, where I have a portion of it in my district. Simply put forward, in the year 2000, legislation was passed restricting Augusta County from implementing a fire district tax on land that qualified as land use. Land use property in Augusta County makes up about 70% of the total land area in the county. HB 1818 eliminates the existing language which prohibits Augusta County from establishing fire zones and levying the related tax on certain property in the county that is qualified for an agricultural forestal use value assessment. This prohibition has created a financial burden for Augusta County when paying for fire and rescue services and personnel. Mr. Chair, just some numbers for you. In the year 2000, Augusta County employed 16 career fire and rescue personnel. In 2022, that number has grown to 125. In 2023, 4, Augusta County had 614 active volunteer fire and rescue squad personnel. In 2022, that number was down to 451. Since the year 2000, Augusta County Fire and Rescue budget has grown from $1.8 million to $13.2 million. That's over a 600% increase in the last 22 years. As the Board of Supervisors continues to see increasing costs to provide fire and rescue services, it is important to be able to look at their revenue source and opportunities. The Augusta County Board of Supervisors has not decided that a fire tax district will actually be implemented. However, Augusta County is at a disadvantage not having this tool in the toolbox. All other localities in the Commonwealth have this option already, Mr. Chair. Augusta County simply would like this option as well if they feel it is appropriate action to take to ensure adequate fire and rescue service throughout the county in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate LaBolle. Does any of the members have a question for the patron? Do we have some testimony?
Yes, sir. I have the County Administrator, Tim Fitzgerald, who would like to make a comment.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tim Fitzgerald, County Administrator in Augusta County, and Delegate Voley did a great job of telling you why we're looking at this. Our fire and rescue services have continued to grow year after year after year, and that's not any different than any locality. All we're simply asking for is to be on a level playing field with all the other localities in the Commonwealth. We're the only locality that's restricted from doing this. We'd like to have that tool to go forward, and that's simply what we're asking you for today.
All right. We thank you. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we report HB 1818.
All right. We have a motion to report. We have a second.
Second.
All right. The motion has been seconded. All right. All of the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine. We can close the roll. The bill reports out by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
Okay. All right. Delegate Lopez.
You've got Emily Campbell here too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. After having extensive conversations with DPOR and after speaking with the administration, it's clear that the interpretation of the language for 2056 will have unintended consequences and cause issues for the auto renewal process, given that undocumented Virginians that have driver privilege cards are able to get licenses without further verification of their citizenship. I'd like to strike HB 2056. However, there's still significant population of undocumented Virginians who do not have driver privilege cards and may not be covered by for some other reason. So assisting these folks is a win-win. That being said, I want to continue working with stakeholders over the next year to get a workable structure. I plan to bring it back next year.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Wright.
I'll make the motion that we strike HB 2056.
Second? Second. All right, we have the strike has been seconded. You can cast your votes. And that bill is, that bill has been stricken by 5-0. And, let's see. Delegate Lopez, do you have another one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HB 2059 regarding non-citizen terminology. This is a bill we actually passed out of this committee last year. The term alien, when used to refer to immigrants, whether documented or undocumented, is dehumanizing at face value. The term has no place in our daily vocabulary and certainly does not have a place in our code. Laws reflect the values of a society. If we value inclusive language, removing the term alien would be an important step to fostering an inclusive Commonwealth. The term is also outdated, reflecting prejudices that most Virginians should not and do not hold today. The former chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, Joaquin Castro, has said that the term alien is used as a dehumanizing slur and should be removed from the language in our statutes. The change might seem symbolic, but it's an important step to restore humanity after years of dehumanization. In recent years, the term illegal alien has been used as a slur toward immigrant and Latino communities, and we legitimize that slur every day that it remains in our code. No human being is illegal. A person's life cannot and should not boil down to a term as dehumanizing as illegal alien. Even ICE, the Federal Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement Service, as recently as 2021, decided to discontinue the use of the term or the language of alien and illegal alien due to its dehumanizing nature and its use as a slur. At heart, we are a nation of immigrants. Why would we leave a slur in our code? Latinos and immigrants have been a part of the project of American democracy from the very beginning. They have served in every major war that we've been involved in. There are over 840,000 Latinos living in Virginia. They are your neighbors and friends and loved ones, and they are not alien to anyone, nor are they illegal. Just as we addressed the racist language in the code a few years ago for African Americans, let's have language addressing Latinos or undocumented individuals that reflect today's society. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate. Does any of the members have a question for the patron? Delegate Carr, yeah. Does any members from the audience care to speak in favor of the bill? All right, we have somebody in the queue, I believe. Let's see. Yep. Ms. Gregorian, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Well, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm surprised to hear that the delegate would substitute the word alien for somebody's nationality. I've never thought of it that way. However, my short comment is that the word alien is a compact, concise, and immediately understood by the public. It conveys the maximum information in a clear and unobstructed manner. It is uniform with federal language, and context is generally not required to understand its meaning under law. The Forms, Style, and Procedure Manual for the publication of Virginia regulations directs that, quote, in general, keep the language of the text as clear and simple as possible. Substituting lawfully admitted permanent resident for legal resident alien does not serve the purpose of clarity under law. This bill does nothing to simplify or clarify the text of the current law. In addition, it causes Virginia law to use language not uniform with federal statute. I oppose this measure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could you just identify herself other than her name?
Ms. Gregorian, are you still there? I think she's on mute.
Just to respond to that, Mr. Chairman.
Can you?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, can you please just identify yourself? I don't know if you were like a member of an association or something like that, or just.
I'm sorry. Are you talking to me?
Yes. Are you a?
No, I'm just a resident of Virginia.
All right. You're a citizen. That's all you need.
I am just a citizen at home, and I saw this come through. I also have some opinions about driver privilege cards, but those are for another day. I understand Mr. Lopez there was talking about those. But thank you. No, I'm just a citizen.
Very good. Thank you, Delegate Lopez.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The term immigration and alien query shows up in two sections of our code, 19.2, 83.2, and 53.1-218. DLS suggested that this term should remain unchanged since it refers to an official process, the IAQ process, used at the federal level under ICE. And amending it before it's changed on the federal level might cause an unintended change in Virginia law. The other places where these terms are used in the names of federal programs, such as 24.2-404 and 24.2-427, basically the systematic alien verification for entitlements program, the SAVE program, and 66-3.2, the United States Department of Justice State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. We also decided not to change our language in the code to make sure that it was addressed properly at the federal level. But these are the only instances where you have this issue with the federal statutes and the federal code and the state code. So most of the instances, as I mentioned before, I would just be very clear, are in Title 38.2 are in reference to insurance, alien insurer. So that doesn't really affect the way, or illegal alien, or the term alien as it's used in immigration considerations. So just to put a finer point on it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Lopez. Do any of the members have anything to add? All right.
And I would just say one last thing, Mr. Chairman. This bill was passed out of the subcommittee and the full committee last year.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we lay House Bill 2059 on the table.
We have a motion to lay on the table, and it's been seconded, and the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine. All right, that bill is laid on the table by a vote of 4-2. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Lopez. Delegate Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2332, this is a bill to amend the acreage requirements for site development grants through the Virginia Economic Development Partnership Authority. If it's passed, this bill would change the acreage requirements from its current state of 100 to 50 contiguous acres for a site to be eligible for site development grant. It's important, especially in rural areas like the one that I served, Rural 24. Some localities may not have an 100-acre site, but they could have or do have a 50-acre site, and this would allow them to be considered for the development grants, thus leading to some important economic development.
Thank you, Delegate Campbell. Does any the members have a question for the patron? All right, does anybody in the audience here to speak in favor of the bill? Yes. Here we go.
Me again, Tim Fitzgerald, County Administrator, Augusta County. I thank Delegate Campbell for bringing this bill to you. This is an important bill for rural localities. A lot of localities don't have 100-acre sites to submit for, so if we go to a 50-acre site, it just provides much more opportunity for us to be able to apply for, get the grants. The grant requirements are still there. They're not changing. All we're asking for is a reduction in that acreage. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, we got more sites available across the Commonwealth. So thank you.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. David Blunt speaking on behalf of Albemarle County. Just like to agree with everything that Mr. Fitzgerald just said. In Albemarle County, with that 100-acre threshold in place, they probably have just one site that would be eligible for the fund, and they've estimated that lowering the threshold to 50 probably gives them another 6 to 7 sites. So certainly ask you to support the bill.
Thank you, Delegate Runyon.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I think it's important to note that I am fortunate to represent both of these gentlemen's area, and it is quite nice to see the most conservative portion of the district and the most progressive portion of the district come to agreement on this. And so I want to applaud you all and thank you all for bringing these ideas forward for Delegate Campbell to offer. And with that being said, I would like to offer a motion to report. Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Delegate Ryan. We need to report and refer.
I'm sorry, report and refer. Thank you.
Second? We have a second?
Second.
All right. All right. Report and refer. All right. You open up the voting thing there, Mr. Clerk, and cast your vote. And that bill reports and refers as a vote of 6-0.
Thank you all.
Outstanding. Thank you. All right. Let me see. How about my old friend, Mr. Sickles? How you doing? How you doing? Delegate Sickles, they got a bill here, right? I mean, it's like you've been calling me like every day and everything.
What's the number of his bill? Oh, 2175?
Yeah.
2175, it's a small Section 1 bill. Tell me when you're ready, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this bill was brought to me by the Fire Chiefs Association. It's a Section 1 bill that established a work group within the Public Safety Secretariat to conduct a needs assessment for fire and EMS agencies across the Commonwealth. In previous years, there was an annual survey to determine needs conducted by the Department of Fire Programs, but there has not been a survey since 2017. Fire and EMS services are largely funded locally with 2 pass-through funding streams. There's a 1% assessment on fire insurance to supplement training, equipment, and protective gear. There's a $6.25 charge on each vehicle registered in Virginia, which provides grants to EMS agencies through the Rescue Squad Assistance Fund. We know that inflation and supply chain issues and the global pandemic and new demands on training and services have put physical stress on the delivery of fire and EMS services. So this work group will look at trends in funding and look at funding models from other states and report back to this committee next November. And it says the work group shall include Department of Fire Programs, the Fire Services Council, the Office of Emergency Management, the Virginia Regional EMS Councils, Department of Planning and Budget, and the Fire Chiefs Association, the House and Senate Finance Committee, House Appropriations Committee, and Senate Finance Committee. And I think there are people here to talk to this. It's
Okay.
a simple bill. It's a Section 1 bill to take a look at where we are right now and what we need to do.
Thank you, Delegate Sickles. Does any of the members have a question for the patron? Delegate Runyon.
Question of the patron. Have you all had discussions with the Department of Public Safety and those folks on this issue? Isn't that the right?
I think the fire chiefs have, but I have not personally. I don't know if anyone's here to talk.
All right, thank you. We
Might be a good time to get an expert
yes,
here.
please come forward.
Maybe you can answer this question on that.
My name's Alan Baldwin. Again, thank you for the opportunity to Mr. Chairman, address you and the other delegates this afternoon. I serve as the Deputy Chief for the York County Department of Fire and Life Safety, but I'm here today representing the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association as the first Vice President. Again, we're asking for some help. The Fire and EMS services of the Commonwealth strive daily to offer the best quality of services to our communities, but the cost of doing business, as you well know, in any form of government is increasing. We have had conversations with the Secretary and some of the other related agencies in the Commonwealth on this, including a recent meeting in September with some of the other emergency services agencies, OEMS, VDEM, the Rescue Squad Association, several others on this. This is something that's paramount for us to continue to provide quality services in the Commonwealth. Again, we all face challenges, and we're looking for support with this to have a study done with the group as one body of the combination of all these agencies. And appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Wright.
Yes, I'd just like to say that I've had a lot of calls from my local fire chiefs, and they fully support this bill. And I appreciate Delegate Sickles for bringing it. And anything we can do to help our local fire departments, I'm all in favor of doing it. And at the proper time, I'll have a motion, Mr. Chair.
All right, Delegate Runyon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question of the Speaker. So you said that you have had conversations with the folks at Department of Public Safety, and
yes.
What was the tone and tenor of that conversation?
They were supportive of it. They were in attendance of our legislative conference meeting in September also. Again, this was an opportunity. The chiefs took the lead in this. The Chiefs Association took the lead in this to get this moving forward. Again, we had some of the other organizations in attendance. Mm-hmm. And again, by this, we're requesting the VDFP and those, public safety be involved in it also. Mm-hmm. We want this to be comprehensive to look at what today and the future to provide these services in the Commonwealth and continue to sustain them.
Mr. Chair, follow up.
Delegate Runyon.
Again, I very much appreciate that, and I share Delegate Wright's support of the concept. And emergency services have shown their need and their performance throughout the Commonwealth in many situations, and I truly do appreciate that. I do find it odd that we're asking the Department of Public Safety to participate in this study, and they've not been. It appears they've not been as engaged in this conversation as I would like for them to be. So perhaps between now, I will not do anything to harm the bill, and we'll vote the bill to move forward. But between now and then, I would like to have a little better understanding of the administration's perspective on this study before it goes to full committee.
You did any, you'd like to add anything, Delegate Sickles, before we?
There's another witness. I don't know if you have something, another new thing.
Please come forward.
Probably do not, sir.
Okay, very good.
All right.
Yeah.
Vance Cooper, Deputy Chief with Virginia Beach Fire Department, and currently the second Vice President with the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association. Don't want to belabor it anymore. Support everything that Chief Baldwin's already said. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right.
Bonnie Atwood. I represent the Virginia Fire Prevention Association and also the Virginia State Firefighters Association, and we would support this bill.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Delegate Sickles, you want to wrap up here?
Mr. Chairman, do you have a letter from the 13th floor for this to be?
I do have, they sent me a letter. They just hollered at me down the hall that we need to report and refer this bill.
Yeah, I do have a budget amendment in to cover this. Just wanted to, if I needed to say that.
Yeah.
I'm saying it now.
Mr.
Chairman, I have a motion.
We have a motion here.
Yes.
Delegate Wright.
I move we report and refer House Bill 2175.
A second. All right. The members will cast
Mr.
their
Chairman,
vote.
can I just say to Delegate Runyon that we'll talk to Secretary Moser about it. We'll make sure the conversation takes place. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Members will cast their vote. Okay, we can close the roll. The bill reports and refers. A vote of 7-0. Thank you, Delegate Sickles. Let's see, now where are we at here? We got some people. Delegate Runyon, did you have a bill here? You want to present your bill?
I do, Mr. Chair. May I present from here, or would you like for me to go?
You can
Actually, I'll go out there. I like.
Okay, well, okay. Was that?
We're living in glass.
Okay, no, I've got it. This won't take long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I have the perhaps most simple bill that's in front of you today, the easiest decision for you to make. What we're doing is creating reciprocity among wastewater and water treatment operators among the various states that are around us, so that it will allow for those folks to more easily come into the Commonwealth and work. And we know that those folks are coming into the Commonwealth because we are the best place to live and work and raise our family. So, this bill, we've gone through it. Think of this as a public health and safety issue, because we have to have water treatment operators in either wastewater or potable water. Otherwise, the public's at risk. And so this allows for that. And I do have a substitute that we need to adopt.
I'll move the substitute.
There's a second? Second. All right, the substitute's for us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. What the substitute does is removes a 30-day requirement for these licenses to be issued upon review. And in talking with the folks that are going to do that work, there was a concern that 30 days may be too quick. And so we want to make sure that we get this right. That's important. And so we've extended that time period out a little bit, or removed that restriction. Everybody seems to be happy. Let's call it peace in the valley.
All right. Well, congratulations, Delegate Runyon. So,
it's a blue moon day.
Does anybody, any questions for the patron or any testimony from the audience? And, all right, we have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we report House Bill 1940.
As amended.
As amended.
All right. All right. All those, we have a second? We need a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you. All right. All the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine.
Go green.
Okay.
You haven't voted yet.
Okay.
I can vote for it.
All right, we got him. All right, the bill reports 7-0. And next up, we are going to get Delegate Bennett Parker. House Bill 2371.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 2731 simply removes the requirement that members of the Alexandria Historical Restoration and Preservation Commission secure a $10,000 surety bond in order to serve on the commission. This issue was brought to the City of Alexandria's attention by the administration, and the bill has the support of the administration. This requirement is a barrier to membership on the commission, including for the members appointed by the governor. This public body is unique in these requirements. There are no other historical restoration and preservation commissions in code. The General Assembly created this commission in 1962 to preserve and acquire historic buildings and easements in the city. This bond requirement is a personal financial commitment by each member of the commission, and these are volunteer commissioners on an advisory body serving without compensation. If the commission were to take some sort of action that resulted in a lawsuit against the Commonwealth, something that has never happened in the more than 60 years of its existence, the surety bond requirement would provide little protection, as $10,000 would not defray much in a suit. However, again, this requirement is keeping volunteers from serving on this body. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope it's the will of the subcommittee to report the bill.
Thank you. Does any of the members have a question for the patron? And we'd like to hear from our audience here.
Briefly, Mr. Chairman, Sarah Taylor with the City of Alexandria. We're grateful to the administration for bringing this concern to our attention, grateful to the patron for carrying the bill. Hopefully you will support it. This really is a barrier to participation. To have a personal financial stake in your membership on a volunteer historic preservation commission is sort of a high bar for people who just want to be there to do right by their community. It's hard for us to find people to serve. It's hard for the governor's office to find their 2 appointees to serve. And so we hope you will remove this surety bond requirement and allow us to ensure that we have participation in this body. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. I think the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move a report House Bill 2371.
All right. All right, the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine. Bill report 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, let me see now. Where are we at now? I think Delegate Willett's been sitting around a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. HB 1748 updates a code section relating to professional solicitors. This is to better reflect modern fundraising practices, include some straightforward consumer protection measures for civic and charitable organizations that seek help raising money. These long overdue changes were brought to me by a local Henrico County parent who's worked with the Parent Teachers Association there. And basically it just identified, unfortunately, some bad practices by certain solicitors who were taking advantage of the school. As you probably know, PTAs are self-funded. They're facing increased pressures to fundraise and support the operating expenses of public schools. So they often reach out to these solicitors to improve their chances of raising more money. So think my favorite, chocolate chip cookie dough sales or gift wrapping paper, things like that they're selling. What happens is certain companies, not all, but certain companies that assist in this will take what would be described as an exorbitant percentage, a high fee, sometimes as high as between 50 and 90% of the profits. Not all do that. Just some, we'll call them bad actors. And so what we realize in the code is that for VDACs and others, there were not enough teeth in there to help in this disclosure. So what we're not doing, we're not capping fees. We're not changing the methods that can be used to solicit these funds. We're just, number one, updating the code. Legislative Services realized no one had looked at this code section for some time. So, for example, really innovative technologies like the use of email and the internet are not reflected in the code. So we need to put those updates in. But this also requires more thorough contracts. When you've got a PTA that's engaging one of these solicitors, this just requires more disclosure of information, more data in that contract so that the PTA in this case, as an example, will know what they're signing up for with that, and they can contract from there. And I have an expert who's been through this more than I have, even though I've had 3 kids do a lot of fundraising in their schools, who is available to provide some testimony and more enlightenment on the issue.
Thank you, Delegate Willett. Does any of the members have a question for the patron? Delegate Runyon.
Question for the patron. I know we spoke earlier. Were you able to connect with the American Fundraising Professional Group?
Mr. Chair, Delegate Runyon, I actually wanted to thank Delegate Runyon for connecting my team with them. That was very insightful, and I think we found everything was good there, but that was a great connection to make, so thank you for that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Does any members in the audience care to speak in favor of the bill or against the bill? All right, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion. Delegate Runyon, motion report has been set. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Up here. Mr. Crook, would you like to unmute, please? And we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Joseph Crook, and I'm a parent of 2 elementary school children and the former vice president of the Pinchbeck Elementary School PTA. For those who don't already know, the demands on a school's PTA is to constantly fundraise. When I served as the PTA vice president and after several successful fundraising events, I was surprised to find that we were still barely meeting our modest budget requirements for the year. Upon further examination, I found that the professional solicitors that were helping with our PTA fundraising efforts often collected between 50 to 90% of all funds raised as their fee. Moreover, a cottage industry of professional solicitation companies has developed over the past 20 years, and the laws that regulate this industry in Virginia are woefully outdated. After speaking with other parents about this issue, these parents were understandably outraged to find out that such a small percentage of their donations were actually making it back to the school for the students' benefit. I found the time we had to negotiate contracts with these professional solicitors was often limited due to the volunteer nature of our positions, and the professional solicitors often use sophisticated contracts that are non-negotiable and use hidden terms within boilerplate language. Therefore, I ask this committee to support House Bill 1748 as Section 57 of the Code of Virginia needs to be modernized to keep up with current methods used in the solicitation of contributions. Moreover, this bill will help address the unequal bargaining powers between the charitable organizations and these vendors, and it will further help inform and provide basic consumer protections to the citizens of the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion.
Delegate Runyon.
To report.
Second.
We have a motion to report in second. Members will cast their vote. And the bill reports 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Delegate Rome.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the members of the committee. Before I start, I'll note council has a substitute that's available for y'all. If council likes to report that.
You have the bill.
So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that the motion would be to adopt the substitute.
Yep. Have we seen the substitute? That's what I'm looking for right now. Hold on a second.
Got a substitute?
There's a substitute.
I'll move the substitute.
Yeah. All right, the substitute is before us. Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, so last year I brought this bill to you all, and it died on a 4-4 vote. Yes.
We have to adopt the substitute. All in favor of the substitute say aye. Aye. All opposed? Substitute's for us. Delegate Rome.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So last year, brought the bill before, and Mr. Chairman, you personally asked me to take some time in the off season to deal with this. Delegate Runyon asked me to take some time, and so what we wanted to do was bring together as many stakeholders, other people as possible, clean this up to make this very narrowly tailored so that we are basically just dealing with people who are seeking interment rights to be buried next to their family in family cemeteries that are located on private property, and they are not dormant cemeteries. So, Mr. Chairman, you had laid out an example. What if you've got a cemetery on your property that's 100, 200, 300 years old, no one's been buried there in years, would someone randomly claim it? Under this, no. What we have done with this is we have defined that you need to be within 2 generations of the last person there. Grandparent, parent, your child, grandchild, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, that style. And we also reached out. We've adopted an amendment from last time that we carried over, this time from the Catholic Conference, who does support this, from 32 to 37. We've adopted a technical amendment from the Office of the Attorney General to strike redundant language. And we also worked with the private cemeteries to make sure that we were specifying what family cemetery meant in this case. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to take any questions.
Would the members like to ask the patron a question? Delegate Runyon?
I'm seeing on a roll here. I appreciate the delegate working as hard as you have on that. I appreciate it, and because you and I did have those conversations. Do I understand that now we have the 2-generation component in there? Does that then roll forward so that when generation number 3 is buried there, then number 5 would be eligible, and so it would go in perpetuity?
So, Mr. Chairman, I would tell the delegate that I intentionally left that part unaddressed here because I wanted to bring it to the will of the committee to decide what you all wanted to do with this. So basically, the way that I see it, I don't have any objection for that because I think that's only going to happen in rare circumstances. However, if the committee had an issue with that, what I would suggest that you could do is that in line 16, after the words deceased person, you could insert an amendment that says who died before July 1st, 2022, and then and then you could have buried in the family cemetery. That would basically make sure that you have a cutoff date for it, if that's basically what the subcommittee wanted to do, because that was a concern that we knew of, but at the same time, I wanted to take y'all's temperature to see where you felt on it first.
Okay, Mr. Chair, a follow-up question?
Delegate Runyon.
So your intent, Madam Delegate, would be that would create that 2-generation use, and then it would be over?
That's right. That is the intent of the bill.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate Wright.
it's appropriate time. I'm ready for a motion.
Okay. We'll just see. Do we have any testimony from the audience?
I would like to hear testimony.
Yep. Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Amy Perrin-Sywert on behalf of the Virginia Cemetery Association. We appreciate working with the patron. We wanted to narrow this even further, so we made sure it says family cemetery, because before when it just said cemetery and private property, it sort of meant that you could possibly be able to do this on someone's private, like a private cemetery. So we appreciate the amendments and things that is as narrow as possible. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Jeff Caruso with the Virginia Catholic Conference. We'd like to thank Delegate Rome for working with us last year and this year on the amendment that exempts church cemeteries. We have some very small parish cemeteries that are full or near capacity, and so that takes this into account by exempting those, and we certainly do fully support the overall intent of the legislation and the trying to address the problem that exists. Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Jones, would you like to unmute your microphone? Mr. Jones, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. First of all, we'd like to thank Delegate Rome for bringing this legislation forward. The state of Virginia and the government has shown a great deal of sensitivity to private cemeteries. Historically, families buried their members in their yards, if you will, and you have a plethora of cemeteries in the state. In our community in Thoroughfare, we have 6 family cemeteries. And we find this legislation, we've worked with Delegate Rome, is non-intrusive. It protects the rights of the family as well as property owners. And it responds to the needs of all parties. So we wholeheartedly support this legislation. And we thank you and the committee for taking up and giving us a chance to testify in its behalf. I also wanted to say to you, Mr. Chairman, as a side note, that the Capital Connections brochure has your numbers listed wrong. I tried to reach your office, and the respondent said that this was not your number, so you may have your staff address that for your constituents.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Delegate Runyon?
I'm sorry. This is a complicated issue, and to be frank about it, Madam Delegate, my concern has always been how do we balance private property rights versus the family rights. So my wife actually's family on her mother's side has a family cemetery that they are eligible to be buried in on property that's been out of the family for 50 years. But that's in the deed. Does this legislation affect that in any way?
So the short answer, Mr. Chairman, I would tell the delegate is no, it does not affect your family's situation. But what we do have in there is what happens in basically a case for redress in a court system. And so what we have here is from lines 19 through 31 of the substitute, we've addressed basically how the court process works, because for anyone to actually be able to gain this right under this bill, you have to go through the court and more or less prove your case. And we also made sure to include property rights and what can happen for the owner of the private property. So I would refer you all to subsection D on lines 28 to 31, where it says, an owner of private property containing a family cemetery or grave shall comply with all court orders allowing for the ingress and egress of such family member or descendant for interment purposes, but may designate reasonable limitations with regard to access and usage of the property for the interment of any deceased person. This was our attempt to make sure that we were making sure we were preserving property rights as well. Thank you.
All right, does anybody else want to speak to the bill? Right, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would like, we talked about an amendment prior. I would like to offer an amendment, and I do not know the process to how to do that, for sure. So I'm looking at our very capable staff down there. Well, if we go back, the amendment was to do the 2-year. I think the delegate perhaps has some proposed language.
Sure. So basically, it would be on line 16, after the words deceased person, you could have who died prior to July 1st, 2023, and is buried, and is. And then basically the rest would say buried in a family cemetery.
Mr. Chair, I would offer a motion to adopt that amendment.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the amendment. We have a second. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. All right, motion's adopted. The amendment's adopted.
Mr. Chair,
motion on the bill?
I would offer a motion. I would move that we report the bill.
Mr. Chairman, the proper motion would be to report the substitute as amended.
Thank you.
Get Rome, it's getting late. The motion's to report as amended, and we have a second. And the members will carry. Roman bill reports 5-1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Delegate Glass.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Today I'm here to present House Bill 2376. This bill requires the Virginia. Did you have something?
No, I'm saying yes, please.
Right,
Welcome.
yes.
We're looking forward to hearing your bill. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So this bill will require the Virginia Economic Development Partnership to develop a discretionary incentive funds for independent content creators and creative entrepreneurs in Virginia. Why are we asking to do this? In 2020, the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis report that the arts and cultural production accounts for almost $16.2 billion in the Commonwealth and 2.9% of our GSP, and contributes almost 110,000 jobs. This is what we're talking about: products, services, output of generated artistic and creative processes such as that are valued by trade, valued by generating revenue and intellectual property rights. So art, crafts, music industry, intangible things such as content to design and music. So what we have here is an opportunity to invest in Virginia's creative economy to promote some sort of economic inclusion and recognize artists, entrepreneurs, and arts organizations as contributors to our business community. This bill would strengthen that equity by allocating state resources for the creative economy, particularly for the creative workforce. To note that in the writing of this, we made sure that these independent content creators and creative entrepreneurs have to be located in Virginia with the plan to create in Virginia. They have to be operating a business in Virginia with a valid Virginia business license. We're talking about independent record labels, management labels, their talents located in Virginia with a valid Virginia business license. And also independent businesses that provide educational resources and platforms to creative entrepreneurs, including creative accelerators and incubators. This is what we call a FUBU investment, for us, by us. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I ask that you give our creative entrepreneurs in the Commonwealth proof that their important work is an economic driver in the Commonwealth by passing this bill on to appropriations.
All right, thank you. Does any of the members have a question for the patron?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Delegate Runyon.
So, thank you for your presentation, and I do appreciate that. I'm curious to know what type of activities would not be eligible for this
So
grant?
what I can tell you is what types of activities would be eligible, if that makes any sense, where did I put it? Off-top production, post-production, prototype creation, product creation, festivals and music opportunities, and there's several more. I'm just trying to rattle them off of my head. We modeled this after some other creative economies that have used grants like this to boost their creative economy, because we get about $7 back for every $1 we invest. We get about $7 back for when we invest in our creative economy.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, a question. You said that this is modeled after other states.
Not necessarily states, but we looked at cities, we looked at states, we looked at what Nashville does. We looked at Atlanta, we looked at New York, we looked at California, we looked at Austin, we looked at all these different creative spaces that have been able to use their creative economy as an economic engine, and just saw some best practices to sort of put this together, and also reached out to the Virginia Economic Development Partnership to ask them about their discretionary funds and what are the best uses, and what it would look like for this to really be used as a business investment, vice, a grant to do an artwork on the side of a building.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have two more questions, not to belabor this, but
Delegate Runyon.
thank you. I appreciate that. So why should we separate these businesses from the other thousands of small businesses that have creative? For instance, I have a dear friend that is a taxidermist, and he has won national and international awards for his work, but I didn't see that as being inclusive in this type of grant.
So there were a myriad of things why we should include it, because these are, when we talk about discretionary, excuse me, Mr. Chair, I apologize, Mr. Chair, I would say to the delegate, when we talk about discretionary incentives, we do this for farmers, we do this for tech companies, and when we outline what a creative entrepreneur is, I think that's something that would have to be fine. If taxidermy, I'm not sure if that is in the same vein as creative entrepreneurship, but I would imagine that if it was, and I won't claim to know that it is, that it would be under this fund. It's not limited to the list that I said, and I wish I had the list before.
No, that's fine.
It would be up to the
Chair.
Virginia Department of the Virginia Economic Development Partnership to really make this whole, as they would be the distributors of said grant.
Delegate Runyon.
My last question is, where does the money come from?
So we're asking it to come from our general fund, so it would have to go to
Yeah, thank you.
appropriations, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, is there any other testimony from the audience? Or, all right, well, the chair will entertain a motion. We have a motion to report and refer.
So I have a substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have
We have a substitute motion is
one question, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Moorfield.
Huh? Apologize, there's already a motion on the floor.
If they would rescind your motion, if he can ask this question.
You got a substitute motion.
Delegate Moorfield.
Great. Do you have a budget amendment?
I do have a budget amendment for this bill.
Thank you.
Very good. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Refer. We have a motion to report and refer.
Substitute motion.
We have a substitute motion, which is?
To gently lay the bill.
We have a motion to gently lay on the table, and we have a second on that?
I'll second.
A motion has been seconded. Members will cast their vote. Okay. Last motion to lay on tables, passed off 4-2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I bring House Bill 2153, and I have amendments.
I'll move the amendment.
Move the amendments. Is there a second on the amendments? Betsy, somebody? Second. All right, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the amendments are before us.
Mr. Chair, at line 13, after I, comma, 2, strike the remainder of line 13, all of line 14, and through Romanet 2 on line 15.
Can you repeat that again, please?
Sure. It is line 13, after I, comma, 2, strike the remainder of 13, all of line 14, and through Romanet 2 on line 15.
Do what?
Mr. Chairman, I could explain the amendment if you want.
Sure, but please, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What the amendment does is that it's going to remove the requirement that all state agencies to post all available positions on the alternative hiring process webpage.
All right, thank you. Does any of the members have a question for the patron?
Yeah, and what the bill does really quick, I just explained the amendment. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So what I wanted just is to take us back to 2021, when the General Assembly passed House Bill 2140, which directed the Department of Human Resources Management to create an alternative hiring process for persons with a disability. It was a bill that took bipartisan effort for 3 years. And the process is non-competitive in nature and provides state agencies using the process an option for converting positions filled through the non-competitive process. This is something that the governor has supported and he believes that expanded economic and job opportunities for individuals living with disabilities. However, what we didn't consider back then is that we had employees with disabilities already hired by the state. So when they are applying for a promotion, they are not eligible to get the certificate and use that preference hiring process for internal promotions. So what this bill is doing is just amending the code so we can provide this opportunity for the current employees with disabilities to get access to get the certificate and be eligible to get a promotion with this program.
All right, thank you. Does any of the members have a question for the patron?
Of course I do.
Delegate
So I'm
Ronnie,
sorry. So have you spoken with the administration, and are they here to offer an opinion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will tell Delegate Ronian that I contacted the Department of Human Resources and Management, who is here today, and they don't have a position on the bill.
Okay, all right, very good.
A follow-up question.
Delegate Ronian.
So did the patron contact ARC of Virginia and those other groups that are advocates for the disability community, and will they be willing to testify today?
Mr. Chairman, I would tell Delegate Ronion that they work with me in the language, but they work with me in Commerce and Energy in Subcommittee 4 and Subcommittee 3, waiting to testify to another bill. But I have worked with them on the language.
Mr. Chair, follow-up question. So does that mean that they support the bill?
Mr. Chairman, I would tell them yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's see. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Jen Kraske with the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities, and we do support the bill.
Gosh, thank you. All right. The chair moves on motions, or this committee moves on motions. Excuse me. We have a motion to report in second, and I'm looking at my list. I do not have a note.
Mr. Chairman, no, it doesn't have.
We do not have a note on this one, Delegate Runyon, on that. So we can, we do not need to send it up to appropriations. So we have a motion. Report. All right, the motion, we have a second. All right, we have a bill to report and seconded. And, all right, the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine. Okay, the bill reports 5-1. I think we have 2 left.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Doug Guzman. Boy, you just showed up just in time, Delegate Reed. So jump on in here, and then we'll take up one of our members' bills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. This is House Bill 1759, and I have line amendments that I would like to present to the subcommittee first. So I believe that DLS has those, and I can speak to those while they're being made available to you. What it does is there are 3 places in here where it directs the Secretary of Veterans and Defense Affairs. I've had a chance to speak with Commissioner Gade, and I'm not sure if he's here or a representative, but it was requested to change it from Secretary of Veterans and Defense Affairs to the Commissioner of Department of Veteran Services. So this would become, if this is passed, then it would become the responsibility of the Commissioner of the Department. So that line amendment is before you. Mr. Chairman, members, every year that we come here, we have a discussion about wanting to be the best state for veterans. What we find out, though, is that we really don't have a quantifiable way to measure that. And if we use data that comes from external sources, there are 4 different ones that were done in 2022. One of them says that we are the best state for veterans, so therefore, good for us. Now we just have to maintain. Another one has us ranked at number 3, another one has us at 8, and another one has us at number 10. And as we know, oftentimes there is a political desire to be able to pick whichever rating agency you want to use to make a particular political statement. But for this particular item, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to retain as many of those military personnel who are already in Virginia, get them to stay in Virginia, and we want to be introducing legislation that we know is going to move the needle. Just to give you an example, this year already, because I'm on the Military and Veterans Caucus, we have 51 pieces of legislation. But do we know how many of those are actually going to move the needle to help make us the best state for veterans? So what this piece of legislation is doing is directing now the commissioner to be able to do a study, a strategic plan, come up with metrics that will tell us what we need to be doing, and then as we all come forward in each successive year after that, that we're going to know that if we introduce this legislation or this budget amendment or we change this particular tax policy, we're going to move the needle, and we're going to know through our own metrics that we're the best state for veterans. That's the bill, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Delegate Reed. Does any members have a question for the patron? Okay, all right, and in the audience, I believe this Delegate Wright.
Is anyone here from the Veterans and Defense Affairs would like to testify?
I do not believe so, no.
No testimony?
No, not from, I mean,
Well, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, report and refer.
all right.
House Bill.
Second, all right, we have the motion. Yep, that's, yep. So we're gonna make a motion to report and refers before us. It's been seconded. So the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine.
Mr. Chair, members, thank you for your consideration and thank you for staying.
Thank you. And last but never least, we have Delegate Moorfield.
Yes, sir.
With House Bill 2180.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2180 authorizes the retail sales of marijuana. I'm just kidding.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I do believe you have a substitute.
I'll move the substitute.
Okay, all those in favor of the substitute amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the amendment's before us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2180 would establish universal license recognition under DPOR. The universal license recognition creates a uniform process within the state for transferring an occupational license into the state with the goal to simplify and speed up the license transfer process for applicants and regulators. I will note that this bill passed unanimously, the Senate version, a couple of days ago. We have some representatives from the administration who are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Come on up here.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm Brian Slater, Secretary of Labor. Here to speak in favor of the bill. We look at this really as a jobs bill and a workforce development bill. We've got over 300,000 open jobs in Virginia right now, and we desperately need workers to fill them. We've got more job openings than we've got people who are actually looking for jobs. This bill will actually help address that problem. It'll allow and authorize DPOR and regulatory boards to grant licenses to licensed professionals from other states who are seeking to relocate to Virginia or to work in Virginia to practice their professions, as long as they are in line with our requirements and in good standing. Basically, if it's an apples-to-apples comparison on their license state and our requirements, they'll be granted a license as long as they meet a few specific requirements. The bill will make it more attractive for out-of-state professionals to make it easier for them to practice their professions here. It'll benefit our economy. It'll help us recruit law enforcement because of make it easier for law enforcement spouses to transfer their professional license if they have them, and it'll benefit military spouses and enable them to bring their licenses and not have to go through a whole process if they were a realtor or a cosmetologist in one state. And it's an apples-to-apples comparison. They don't have to go through the whole licensing process and test taking and classes and everything like that. The commissioner is here also to answer any specific questions if I can't, but appreciate your time. Hope you all will support the bill.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, here we go. Yeah, come on up. Welcome. Good to see you.
Likewise, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Simply put, we appreciate Delegate Moorfield's carrying the bill. When we're looking at bringing in jobs to Virginia, we look at whether the individual is licensed in the other state in the same scope of practice, whether they have a clean, essentially clean disciplinary record with that state where they're coming from, past or current. They still go through our criminal history question process, which is outlined in the Code of Virginia. So we made sure that they meet public safety concerns that why we exist as DPOR. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Very good. Any people have any questions? All right.
Mr. Chairman, Randy Grumbine, representing the Virginia Manufacturing Modular Housing Association. We are in need of tradesmen, and this bill can help. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Trevor Carlson, speaking on behalf of Opportunity Solutions Project in support of the bill. The bill before you reduces barriers to work by streamlining the licensing process for professionals, Recognizing out-of-state licenses and work experience will make it easier for people to find work and will help make the Commonwealth compete for skilled workers and grow its workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Erin Corman with the Realtors. We echo the comments before us. We support the bill.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Lou Spencer. I'm with United Association Plumbers and Gas Fitters Local Union Number 5. We support the bill. As I testified on the companion bill in the Senate, I believe. We're bringing in travelers right now. My local union's 98% fully employed. And, you know, we're looking at people coming in from other states now to help out with all the work we have in Northern Virginia.
That's good.
So we support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I believe up in the queue, Mr. Melvin. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Robert Melvin with the R Street Institute. We are very supportive of this measure. As you have heard, there's a big workforce challenge that is facing the Commonwealth. We've seen almost every job sector in Virginia report workforce challenges, from teachers and physicians to plumbers and electricians. And reports are indicating that, you know, the Old Dominion is facing a severe worker shortage with only 47 available workers for every 100 positions. We think that this bill will do a lot to help address that issue and help bring more folks in and attract them here. So we're very supportive of this measure and urge you to pass it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Ms. Poitras, is that correct? Welcome. Sorry,
you know,
if I
it's my
messed that
husband.
up.
I'm sorry. It's my husband's last name originally, but I speak French, so I say Patois. He says Poitras. It all works. But thank you very much, Chairman Fowler, for the opportunity to speak. As I just mentioned, my name is Jessica Patois, and I am an attorney with the Institute for Justice. We're a national nonprofit law firm that works to end government abuses and overreach, and we litigate and work to protect economic liberty across the country with a particular expertise on occupational licensing reform. So simply put, we support House Bill 2180 for a multitude of reasons, many of which have already been stated. So I'm going to skip over that unless you all have any questions. But I would like to just note that this bill could be strengthened by allowing the state to recognize licensees who have had their credentials for 1 year rather than 3 years, and then to also expand this bill to include professions that aren't just regulated under DPOR. And as Mr. Melvin just stated, there are multiple shortages of workers across the state, and this bill will help to increase those opportunities. There are 19 other states that have enacted some form of universal occupational licensure. And as a Novin and a multi-generational Virginian, I would love to see this bill enacted. So I appreciate you all taking the time to hear me out today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. So thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I have a motion.
I think it is the appropriate time.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we report House Bill 2180.
Second. Report as amended.
As amended.
All right. All right. All right. So, all right, the members will cast their vote on the electronic voting machine. All right, the bill reports a vote of 6-0. The bill is reported out. And George, I believe that completes their docket. So, well done, Subcommittee 1. Motion to adjourn, Tommy Wright. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, George, for grabbing my picture.